there. Welcome. Welcome to Homekeepers. How are you today, my friend? So glad to be here with you. We've been coming to you for several years, and it gets better all the time. And I want to welcome old, new, young, old, whatever. You are so welcome right here. Wish you could come in, sit down, and have a cup of tea with me. That would be so great. We could get acquainted, but can't do that today. However, I would like to say that this program could be one of the most important that we have done in over 10 years, because we're going to talk about orphans and how they need homes. And I'm really praying and believing God that some of the viewers out there, they're going to respond to what we're talking about today. My guest is Artis, and he is working to bring churches together to try to just, in concert together to help those who need foster care, those who need permanent homes. And this is a ministry I think that the Lord gets really excited about. He talks an awful lot about the orphans and the least of them and the children. And boy, when you reach out to them, you are really showing the true love of Jesus that he imparts to us. So I'm anxious for you to meet this young man. He's very, very impressive. And Stephanie and I are going to make something that I can hardly wait to try. It's an apple cake, and it's going to have kind of a warm or hot frosting on it. So you'll want to see what that's all about. But again, I would like to offer you the book Detox by Diana Skiles. And this book will show you how to kind of detox your spirit. Boy, she is right on with this thought that a lot of things can just get into your life and you don't realize it, and they build up. And that's true of your physical life and your emotional life, but it's true of your spiritual life as well. It's so important. So for that gift of at least $15, we will send you this book if you use a credit card, 1-800-229-0059, or the address is on your screen, and that's box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33718. And we'll get it out to you. When she was on, I told her what a terrific name for that book. So I'm glad that we can offer it to you. Don't you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, excellent.
I remember times in my own Christian life where I didn't put it in those terms, but you need it. Maybe. Now I need to get this going, so let's do this first.
You have a half a cup of butter that you've melted. You're putting in a cup of brown sugar, a quarter cup of evaporated milk, and a half a teaspoon of vanilla, and you're going to get that boiling.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, I am going to make the cake. I have a cup of oil, and I have 2 cups of sugar and 3 eggs that I'm going to mix together.
This looks like such a beautiful, hearty dessert.
Yes.
In fact, when we pulled the first one out of the oven, was it you said, I want a cup of tea and I want a piece of this or something?
I said it looks like it would be good with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee.
I have an article there that's interesting. This is out of, I think, the Woman's Day magazine, called A Family Slim Down, and this lady lost 90 pounds.
Wow.
And she got her whole family going. Probably every family needs that kind of a member in it. Boy, she made them toe the mark, and the whole family joined together and lost 180 pounds.
Wow, I bet they feel so much better.
And she got them walking and cutting portions.
That's amazing.
It's just not rocket science.
Yeah. There is no magic. No magic pill, no. This is 3 cups of flour that I'm mixing in.
Well, I remember when there were some pills that came through that had very harmful effects.
Yes.
So you might as well just, problem is the overactive fork.
Well, I have that problem, so my eyes are always bigger than my stomach. I always grab a lot of food, and then I feel like I have to eat it all, so.
Well, this is starting to boil now.
Okay.
And it's supposed to boil for a couple minutes.
Yep, so. And I'm making a mess over here. That's what I do.
This is really from scratch, isn't it?
It's really from scratch, and this is an extremely thick batter.
Yeah, I noticed when she was making the first one this morning, it's like it kept growing.
Yeah, that's baking soda. And I'm gonna put in 2 teaspoons of vanilla.
Take that, and I'm gonna let this boil about another minute, and then it goes in the ice water. And you just keep stirring it until you kind of have the consistency you want, but actually I think it'd be good if you just dumped it on there anyway.
Oh, well, sure. It's brown sugar and butter. And then I'm gonna mix in some pecans and some apples.
And these apples are just chopped perfectly, but I've thought also if you shredded them, they would be nice.
Shredded would be great, yes.
It would be going through that, the rest of the batter.
And then you're just gonna spray a 9x13 pan and put this all in there and bake it for 40 to 50 minutes at 350.
All right. Do you want to watch that a minute?
Oh, I would have done that.
We need 3 people on this.
We're good.
I have a feeling that we need to tell the crew to stay in place till the end of the show.
Yeah, no running up to the table in the middle of the.
Okay, now you put it in the ice water, and the recipe says to just stir it until you have the consistency you want. And
it says beat it, really, is what it says.
Does it? Okay.
Do you
With
trust
that
yourself?
No, no, I don't. I don't. If I turn on that mixer, as hot as this is, we'd all be scalded.
Fabulous
Oh, but this is wonderful.
Is it working?
Yes.
Good. Here, I'll get this out for you.
You can tell that the consistency changes rapidly, and besides, I think that's about right.
Look, you did it.
Yeah.
How exciting.
It's so exciting when something turns out
When
right.
it works, because we've never tried it before.
We've told people we don't have a test kitchen.
Nope, just pour it on over.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my.
Oh, my.
And I had to pick this week to say no flour and no sugar, so I'm not trying it, but you can tell me how fabulous it is.
You are truly, I need to.
Yes, make sure you scrape all of that yummy goodness out of there.
You are really disciplined. Look at that.
This is really, really thick, so I want them to make sure they know it's all right.
Well, it's portion control. You don't have to eat half the cake.
Oh, I know, but talk about detoxing, you know. My body needs a break.
Oh, well, I admire you, girl. Do I dare?
Oh, yes, of course.
It really probably should sit a little bit, but I'm going to take just a little.
You have to try it.
I have to try it for my audience.
Yes.
We owe them.
Yes.
I have a feeling that
Oh, my goodness.
that recipe for the icing, you can use that on a lot of things.
Homemade cinnamon rolls. Yeah? It's a winner.
There are no words.
What's it? Give it a number.
1 out of 10,
Yes.
25.
Oh, my. They want this recipe.
Yeah, and we'll let that set a little bit.
We'll torture everyone and let it sit there.
But like I said, that frosting, the way it all worked, just like it said it would. We were wondering.
Worked. It's always
We were a little
scary
bit
when
like
you
this
try
with
things
it,
like
but
that.
just fine. So, if you want a copy of this recipe, that information is coming up on your screen, and you can take note of that. But as I said at the top of the program, I think this is one of the most important programs we've ever done. Hope you'll pay attention, get your pencil out, and take some notes, okay?
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, please send your request along with a gift of $5 or more to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758.
I am so happy to introduce to you Curtis Artis, and I knew he worked out a lot and you just confessed, right?
Yes, every day.
You don't look like you've eaten a whole lot of this kind of thing, but you eat it and then work it off, right?
Yes, you work out every day and it comes right off.
Yeah, what is your routine really?
Well, I rise in the morning and have my prayer time and then do a cardio workout, maybe a little yoga mixed in and blend that. And
it really
that's my
pays
routine.
off, doesn't it?
It does.
It really
It does.
pays off.
It does.
Well, God bless you for for 15 years you've served what the scripture would call the least of these. And I was wondering, what is it in your back? Is there anything in your background, or did God just, speak in an audible voice and say, Curtis, I want you to do this? Or is there something in your background that triggered this great interest in
You know,
kids?
Arthelene, I'm a former banker, and I was in banking for 7 years, and just felt the call of the Lord to get more specifically engaged with kids in crisis and families in the community, and just wanted to make a real impact. So I started working in the not-for-profit arena 15 years ago, and either directly or indirectly, I've been supporting foster families, mentoring kids, along with my wife. And just the past 5 years, I've been in South Florida working with an organization called For Kids of South Florida. And that's where I really took a deep dive in the end of the pool, and seeing the trauma that the kids go through, being separated from their family at no fault of their own. That's one of the things that I really want our Christian community to know, that these kids have done nothing to end up in foster care. It's just the person who said, I'm going to love you and take care of you, haven't done their job. So.
Yeah, and a lot of times the kids, though, the kids themselves take on some kind of guilt or something that caused this to happen, and it did. You started out with the YMCA?
I did. I worked for the YMCA for 10 years in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Fort Lauderdale. So we've spent the last 10 years in South Florida serving youth and families. But the Lord just continues to grow my heart, because when you look at God's commission for the church in James 1:27, that true and undefiled religion is that we take care of the widows and the orphan. How can you not move when you see children in pain and struggling? So.
And you are now with the Christian Alliance for Orphans, and I want to put that website up, and we're going to leave it up the rest of the program, because, and I would appreciate if you take it, just write it down, tell your pastor about it, and you can go to their website and learn a whole lot more. It's quite a good website. Can you, first of all, let me review something that happened right here where I live in St. Petersburg, Florida. I was captivated just a few days ago, maybe it's been 2 or 3 weeks, a young man, a teenager, who wanted a family to adopt him. He's a big boy, you know. And you take it from there, because it's gone global. It's gone certainly global now.
Yes, well, you're talking about Mr. Davion only. And Arthelene, you know, we have 400,000 kids in the foster care system around America, and 100,000 of those are available for adoption today. You could take them home with you today. But Davion is living here in the St. Pete area, and his mother was incarcerated, and she ended up dying, and he never knew his father. So at the age of 15, he was so bold to talk to his support workers that, hey, I want to go to a local church and ask for a foster family. So he got up in that pulpit and articulated that he just wanted a family. He didn't care, and his quote was, I don't care if you're white, black, or purple. Why not me? I'll be the best that I can be. Please give me a family. And the response was incredible. A media windstorm got behind his story, and he received 10,000 responses from all over the country.
He could have chosen any home, probably.
So
probably
Davion, we do believe he'll have a forever family, and that he'll find that adoptive family. But there's additional kids who are out there who need that help as well. So what we're hoping is those families, that Davion will be a catalyst that other children can be adopted through his story.
And God bless these workers, whoever, I guess she was a caseworker or something, but
Yes.
he was all dressed up in a suit and tie, and just reading it just moved me.
Well,
So-
Eckerd is your community-based agency here in the Tri-County area close to St. Pete, and that staff is doing a phenomenal job positioning Davion for his forever family, and they're processing those 10,000 responses, and hopefully kids who are on the Heart Gallery for adoption and in foster care waiting for adoption, or kids who just need a foster family will receive their forever family because of Davion's courage.
There is a great church in this county where I live, and they join with other churches, but this
Yes.
one's kind of been the catalyst, because they are the official, whatever it takes, office or whatever for foster kids. And their goal is that every foster child would be in a Christian home. That's one goal. Another goal is that that family would be reunited. Certainly that is God's will.
Yes, yes.
So I think we have a pretty strong thing in this county.
Yes,
And
the hope for every foster child is that they will be reunited with their biological family when that's safe.
When it's
And
safe,
the
yeah.
court systems determine that, but it is truly a collaboration between church and state, because our government officials are in position, and our public service workers and caseworkers are there to meet that immediate need when a child needs to be removed. But as we know, Arthelene, the government doesn't make a good parent. So the children,
Understatement.
the children need to be in a family where there are parents who will love on them, and even if it's that intermediate transitional time of foster care, because the average child spends at least 2 years in the system, and sometimes that's a bouncy journey.
I have read nightmare stories of, been in maybe 12, 14 homes in a matter of months, and that's not good for any child.
No, the statistics show if a child moves more than 3 times in placement from one foster home to the next, that they're 70% more likely to end up either homeless or incarcerated just because of
Wow.
the trauma after they age out of foster care. And I'll reiterate, these kids have done nothing of their own. They've been through abuse, neglect, and abandonment. And if our viewers could think about, that moment as parents or aunts and uncles where we're in a department store and you turn your head for a moment and your child, your 7-year-old child is missing, so where is Johnny, where is Susie? And 30 seconds pass and a minute passes and 5 minutes passes, and that panic that wreaks your heart. Think about the child who is lost at 7 years old, and they're being emotionally traumatized because I can't find mom, I can't find dad. Well, think about these foster kids. They're going into a state facility. They're going behind locked doors with buzzers. They're being fingerprinted. That's a pretty traumatic experience in itself. Then I'm being sent to a home that I don't know anyone. So who better than the people of God,
People of God, yeah.
to be ready with loving arms to receive those kids
A lot
into
of
their
times
homes?
these traumas are late at night, and the police show up, and they have to take the children,
Yes.
and they go through their little routine and all. But here's a child that's dying inside.
Desperately
Right.
in need.
Yeah. Now how does the Christian Alliance for Orphans work? Is this is worldwide?
It is. We do a lot of work with our domestic churches in the United States. We have 150 organizations that are members of the Alliance.
Well, can a
But we
church
partner-
join it?
Yes, and
Okay.
we partner with thousands of churches. Just this past weekend, we had our Orphan Sunday weekend. So we had thousands of churches all over the world in the United States, as well as 50 foreign countries, where we launched Orphan Sunday. And basically, that's just awareness for the congregants, for the members of churches around the world, to know that orphans are in need. And it could be a concert, a preacher could preach a message, or it could just be educational tables of ministries in your community that provide orphan care. But we just want to educate the Christian community on what's happening and the need, and then call them to action to provide enough families for these kids in need.
Why couldn't say there's a family in the church and they got the heart. You got to have the
Yes.
heart.
Yes.
And they've got it, but they don't have the means. Why
Yes.
couldn't the church support that family monthly or something? I'd give to that every week.
Well, I think you describe what needs to happen perfectly, because if 1 out of 3 churches in America would take one child out of the system, the problem would be solved overnight.
Wow.
And the other part of that is, I don't think the Lord meant for us to do it alone. The Bible is written in context for community. So if we can rally around that one family in your church, someone could cook dinners to give mom and dad a break. Someone could babysit. Someone could come over and cut the grass just to alleviate, some of the responsibilities of the family. Money for groceries. Or just invite them over to your house for dinner, Arthelene. You can't just have them to
get
dinner.
that child in a totally loving,
Yes.
loving atmosphere.
Yes.
All right, now around the world, when I think about that, it's just like my hair hurts. When you think of the orphans from AIDS and all.
Yes.
And where do you begin and what can you do?
Yes.
There are millions of them, aren't there?
Yes. But the heart of our pastors around the country, they're really gravitating to God's heart for the orphan. And we're developing partnerships and strategic alliances in the Ukraine, in Kenya, Guatemala, all around the world to meet the needs of the kids. And one of the things that is really taking flight is adoption into families. And orphanage is a place for children to go, but it's still not a family. So what the Alliance is strongly encouraging all of our pastors, both stateside and internationally, is we really need the family units to step forward. The families to take the kids into their home and love on them. Then the church and the body of Christ comes around that family, because an orphanage is not a family either.
No.
So that's what we're seeing take flight in the movement of God around the world.
Are you involved at all in the adoption, say, from China or the Ukraine or Russia?
Yes. And
do you expedite those?
And the Alliance, we partner with organizations both here in the States and around the world who provide that service. So if you go to our website, that's, I think you said you have it on the screen.
It's
up. If you go to our website, you're going to see information where you can plug into organizations in your community locally. You're going to see international organizations where you can get assistance for support with adoptions, whether that's financial or just the process of adoption. Because you mentioned it earlier, when you enter into foster care and adoption and the issues and the trauma that these kids have been through, you don't enter into that lightly. And we definitely want our families to know that, hey, there may be sacrifice and pain and suffering through this process, but to be able to share the love of Christ in that way with a child, it's all worth it.
I'm wondering what the American Christians really know about sacrifice. And we've had a pretty free ride.
Yes.
For a long time. You don't just talk about it, you've done it.
Yes.
You had adopted a daughter. Tell us about her, and how old was she when she came into your family?
You know, Arthelene, the story begins with a foster child. I was working in my office one day, and a young lady comes in with her support worker, and she says, Mr. Artis, I'm pregnant. I learned enough here that I want to give life to this child, but I don't want this child to experience what me and my 2 brothers experienced growing up in foster care. So me and my wife were fortunate that she chose us out of 3 families, and she made her own choice, which I think is a very courageous choice for these young ladies.
Yes, I admire those women.
To recognize that, hey, you want better for your child and you may not be able to provide that. So we truly, Arthelene, didn't think she was going to give up the baby, because we were rallying around her to pray with her and minister to her. But when the birthday came, she took her 2 days to consider. She signed her consent papers to terminate parenthood, and we took our baby girl home 2 days later. And
Wow,
she's now,
I'm getting goosebumps. That's wonderful.
Alexis is now 4 years old, and of course she's the joy of our life. And me and my wife decided to start our family through adoption.
Well, you've certainly made the example on this young woman. I'm telling you, for one who has carried a baby and delivered, and to think of ever giving it up, she should be canonized. I really do admire her, and she has to take some joy and peace knowing that she's with your family.
I hope so.
I can tell that
I hope so. Yes.
you're a really good daddy, and so you've had her from the very beginning.
We have.
And so when you go and speak in churches, you know what you're talking about.
Well, I definitely share my story, and we share the stories of kids, you know, all over the country who need that placement. Now, the average child in foster care is 8 years old or thereabout. So, you know, there's definitely more of a challenge as kids get older. And aging out in most states is 18. And you have children. Were your kids ready to take on the world at 18? We think we are.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But, you know, our kids still need some additional help. So that's another support area, independent living, mentors coming alongside these young people as they age out, because the statistics are startling in terms of incarceration, pregnancy, and by the mid-20s, if a kid ages out of foster care, they're 70% likely for the boys to end up incarcerated. For the girls, about 60% will end up pregnant without a family and without support. So it would behoove us to catch this early.
And I hope you got that website. The name of the organization is Christian Alliance for Orphans. And if there's one thing the Lord loves, it's when we work together in unity. And that's what this ministry is, an umbrella for churches to come in and different ministries. They'll teach you the know-how. They'll show you how to, you know, make the need aware. And I'm with this great church in this area where I live. They want every foster child in this county to be in a Christian home, and then from that point to bring that family together. This is the work of the Lord.
Amen.
If nothing else is the work of the Lord, this is, no doubt about it. And sorry, we are out of time, but please join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you would like a video copy of today's Homekeepers program for just $19.95, call 1-800-229-0059 for credit card orders, or send a gift of at least $19.95 to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. Be sure to note the program number which appears on your screen.